Good morning, welcome. Have a couple props nearby. I have a chair. We will use the chair today. You can use any dining room chair, any chair that's around at all. I have a couple blocks. We'll see. We might use those. I have a strap. You can use a scarf. Again, for blocks, if you don't have blocks, use some books, a pot. Nice stainless steel pot can be a nice lift too. Strap or a scarf or something similar like that. Have a seat on some sort of lift that's comfortable for you, and of course that could be a chair. See if you can find a sense of ease in it. Ease does not mean easy necessarily, but see if you can remove the struggle. And if that means sitting up in a chair, sit up in a chair. When I first came to yoga, they were very specific about having the feet, so the edges of your feet were parallel to the side walls. And I thought that, therefore, that was the only way you could possibly practice, until I went to a class where they said, turn the feet up. And I go, oh, I guess, yes. Sometimes we go to a class and we hear something and we think, oh, that is the correct way to do a pose. So for most of these poses, for all of these poses, there's not a correct way to do any of these poses. There are multiple correct ways, and they sometimes can offer you different things if you are seeking to approach poses in a particular way. So this one, you really feel that firmness in the hips when you get that nice straight edge, and this one, there's more of a softening in the groin. So if you're going towards those types of poses, that may help. There's also depending what you might need on any given day. So I am today sensing more of a need for some ease. I am feeling a little floaty and unbalanced, which means we'll be doing some balancing poses today. And so I'm going to pick the one for me, which just feels more comfortable. So this one, I can feel it and I feel the firmness, but it's difficult for me. It doesn't create that much ease. So I am going to turn the bottoms of my feet up. So I recommend to you not necessarily to do the one that I do. Do it if that creates more ease for you, but do the one that works best, not for whatever poses we're going to lead ourselves into, which is an appropriate way to practice, but whatever feels more comfortable for your brain and your mind right now. If you're turning your feet so they're parallel with the walls, you want the whole knife edge of your foot down. You're extending the heels away. If you're turning the bottoms of your feet up, you take hold underneath the feet. Underneath, and if you've never done this one, then I recommend trying it. Underneath the feet, you take your thumb to the ball of the big toe, and you push the ball of the big toe away or forward as you take the tops of the feet down. So you get as much as the top of the foot down as you can. Oh, I already feel better. But it may be different for you. What feels good for me does not necessarily feel good for you. So that's why we always, as teachers, need to caution ourselves and what we say, what we share. So you can try both. One might feel better one day, one might feel better another day. Some days I feel a need for that firmness, so I will work the feet a little bit more. This one has an opening of the ankles a little bit more. So find your seat, not mine. And I recommend that whenever you come to your own yoga practice, when you're in a class, you can follow the teacher. But when you come to your yoga practice, your home practice, I recommend you don't get stuck always doing it one way, but check out the different ways. Sit in a chair, sit on the floor, have the knife edge of your feet down, have the soles of your feet up and see that day. And then begin. Find that even balance of your sit bones. I will say in this version that does have more ease, more opening in the inner groins, the balance of the sit bones is more, I don't want to say the word difficult, but I can't touch it as much. That even balance isn't quite there. So everything is a give and a take. When you focus on one thing, you may give up another. But I'm still going to seek that even balance, seek the even balance. See that it doesn't grip the inner groins, but there's a lengthening from the lower abdomen to the inner knee, lengthening out in both directions. So lengthening out through the inner knees, from the upper inner thighs, drawing back towards the lower abdomen, allowing the flesh of the inner thighs to descend down. And while in this version, at least for me, that connection from the outer knee to the outer hip is not quite as pronounced, it's still there. And you still need to draw the femur bones into the hip sockets and compact the hips together. Notice what these adjustments in the legs and in the thighs, how they reflect in other parts of the body, for example, the torso. So as soon as I do those actions, as soon as I get that releasing in the inner leg and the compacting of the hips, my torso begins to rise up away from the floor. I'm no longer sinking down, wanting to collapse. So can you find a lengthening through the side ribs here? From your hips to the lower ribs, from the lower ribs to the set above those, to the set above those, creating more space between each set of ribs. And we spoke about the lengthening of the groin of the legs, and sometimes we call this inner upper arm the groin of the arm. Can you lengthen through the groin of the arm, from the inner armpit to the inner elbow? And if you're paying attention, some of you will notice a change in the breath, a change in the torso, just from that lengthening of the inner arm. If you were here last week, you can include some of the work we did last week, lengthening the distance from the top of the buttocks to the back bottom ribs. Right, so the top of the buttocks down, back bottom ribs in and up. If you weren't here last week, that's okay. If it makes sense, do it. If not, simply be here. Noticing the breath, creating more space in the torso for the breath to flow. You don't need to breathe. You don't need to force a deep breath. Let the breath breathe you. But you want to help create the container, the space through which the breath can flow. That's our job. The breath will do its work. The breath knows what to do. Yes, it's pranayama, the control of the prana, the life force, the breath. But the breath also knows what to do. But we need to help create this container for the breath, so it can do its work efficiently. Allow the shoulders to drop. Keep the elbows where they are. Bring your palms together with your thumbs at your chest. Touch your palms evenly. The shoulder bones move away from the sides of your neck. As you touch the palms evenly, left to right, right to left, allow the shoulder blades to move away from each other. Let your eyelids close from top to bottom. And draw your eyes back and down to gaze at the seat of your heart, the seat of your soul. Welcome this moment. Welcome this moment into your life. Welcome yourself into this present moment. Welcome the pleasant and the unpleasant alike. And open yourself up with curiosity to what's here now and to what will unfold. Curiosity can be more powerful than control. So give up the control and allow curiosity to rise up. Curiosity opens the door to svadhyaya, self-study. Let this time together be a study of ourselves as individuals, and a study of ourselves as a part of this greater whole. Let's chant the syllable Om 3 times together, exhaling completely. Deep inhalation. Lifting your sternum towards the ceiling, lower your chin towards your heart. Place your hands onto your thighs with your palms up. With your eyes closed, raise your head. And from the back of your head, gently allow your eyelids to open. And before jumping up to whatever the next pose may be, let's take a moment here to observe, to study the self, the body, the physical self, the emotional self. And take your hands by your hips and straighten your legs. Take your buttocks at the edge of your lift setup. If you're on a chair, at least the people I see, it doesn't look like anyone's on a chair, but if you're on a chair, you can do this on a chair as well. That's fine. Your legs will be diagonal. No, of course, I can't see everybody, so I don't know what everybody's doing. And that's fine. You don't have to have your video on. So Dandasana, hands by your hips. Toes up. Feet touching if they easily go together. If they don't, then they can be apart. If they don't come together, it can be nice sometimes. You just take a block. I don't know, can you see my feet there? Maybe I should move back a little bit. You can always take a block, and depending on you, right? You can have the block this way. So it gives the inner foot that tactile feeling. If you don't need one, you don't have to have one. Because without that, the legs sometimes over time just tend to fall apart, right? So that gives an understanding of that inner foot being perpendicular to the floor. Check your kneecaps. You want them to be facing the ceiling. And the general instruction is turn your thighs in, press your thighs down. But as I look at my kneecaps, well, my left one's face straight up, but my right one is actually turned in slightly. So I have to turn my upper thigh out to get my knee pointed towards the ceiling. Of course, that moves the foot out, so then my lower leg turns in. So we need to practice this svadhyaya, self-study, and take these general instructions of, okay, everyone turn your thighs and press your thighs down, to go, wait a minute, why am I turning my thighs in? Okay, well, we want the kneecaps to be parallel to each other, pointing straight up. How do I need to, as I look at that, how do I need to adjust my leg? And I didn't know, for years, I just turned my thighs in because that was the instruction, until a teacher came over to me and said, that thigh's already turned in. Why are you turning it in more? I said, well, that's what everyone tells me to do. And he said, no, your leg is different. And that was many years ago now, but that was the beginning of me going, oh, I need to not just listen to a teacher, but I need to go inward and look at what my body is doing in combination with the teacher. Press the thigh bones down. Lengthen the inner thighs from the inner groin out through the inner knee, through the inner heel, from the upper inner groin back towards the abdomen, the flesh of the inner thighs moving straight down. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. Press into your hands to lift the side ribs. I don't care if you straighten your arms. I'm not straightening my arms today. They're not getting there. That's fine. I could work really hard and get them there, but that's not what I'm in the mood for today. I need to create more space in my neck, shoulders, right? So I'm going to just work on that lift of the side ribs, whether the arms get straight or not. If I do it long enough, there they go. See, they ended up straightening on their own after a while. Slow and steady, instead of that forcing. Now watch those front bottom ribs. Make sure the front bottom ribs still move towards the back body. The top of the buttocks moves down towards the floor as the back bottom ribs move in and up. Do this without leaning forward or back. For most of us, there's more of a tendency to lean back. Resist that. And again, notice the breath. Why are we doing this? We're creating different containers for the breath, for the prana, for the life force to flow. This is not just a physical practice, but it's a physical practice of moving the energies in the body, moving the energies, as well as creating a pathway for the energies to move. And separate your legs. Upavista Konasana. See that they're even. See that they're on the same plane. And again, you have to adjust your legs so that your kneecaps point straight up. Kneecaps up, toes up. So for most of us, again, that's turn the thighs in. The legs tend to fall out. But you have to double check. You might even have to work your legs evenly. I have to work my right and left legs very differently here to get that evenness, because my hips are different. The alignment of my upper leg to my lower legs are different. So what do you need to do in your pose? Find that lengthening from the inner thigh out through the inner knee, through the inner heel, from the inner thigh back towards the abdomen. Descend the flesh of the inner thighs, draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact your hips together. Watch those ribs, front ribs back. Push into the floor, the lift, to create length in the side ribs. And then observe. Study what is able to be maintained, what is difficult to maintain. Simply notice without judgment. A study, curiosity. Don't try and control it, but become curious about the actions you're taking and the results of those actions. And notice the flow of the breath. Is it flowing the same or different when the legs are straight in front of you? If it's different, what's different? Take your hands on the inside of your knees. Use your arms, pull straight up, up, up. Then take hold of your ankles and take your feet together. Now, this pose too, just like we in the opening sitting pose in Sukhasana, right? The traditional pose for this is feet are together, the knife edge of the feet are on the floor. But there is a version of this where you peel your feet open. So you can take your thumbs on the mound of the big toe. You take your fingers on what would normally be the top of the foot, and you pull the balls of the toes away from each other as you turn the top of the foot down. And it's almost as you have this really old book, and you're trying to open it. So your soles of the feet are the book. You can try that. If you prefer the other one, hey, your pose, your body, your class. All right, some days I'll say we're leading into something, do it this way. But for today, can you find some ease here? So if this creates some ease for you, for me, it's creating this nice opening here in the groins. The outer hips, harder for me to get, just like when we were sitting. So I have to work a little harder to draw the outer knees to the outer hips, femur bones into the hip socket. I get this releasing in the abdomen here because of the openness of the groins. So you can play with it. And if you've never done this one before, I recommend trying it. Just open that book. Watch the front bottom ribs, draw them back, lengthen through the side ribs. Then spend some time studying. The pleasant, the unpleasant, welcome it equally. The breath. Does it flow differently? My experience of breath is different now with my feet together than it was with my feet apart. Is yours? Take your hands on the outside of your knees, push your legs together, hold behind one leg, draw the flesh towards the buttock, drag the heel, straighten the leg. The other leg, draw the flesh towards the buttock, drag the heel, straighten the leg. Hands by your hips, Dandasana. All right, and release. Come on up, grab your chair. I'm going to start this side. All right, so have your chair to the right-hand side. And first stand in Tadasana, just leave the chair there. We're moving towards Vrikshasana, tree pose. But we'll start with the support of the chair. So Tadasana, feet together. If feet apart feels better today, do feet apart. Press the thigh bones back, lengthen the groins, right? Inner knees up through the lower abdomen. The flesh of the inner thighs moving back. Outer knees to outer hips, compact the hips together. Lengthen up through the side ribs, move the shoulders down, extend through the fingers. Take the front bottom ribs towards the back body. As you press the thighs back, take the top of the buttocks down. And as you take the top of the buttocks down, bring the back bottom ribs, pushing the front bottom ribs forward. Study. And take your hands on your hips for a moment. Take your right leg up onto the chair. Keep your hips squared. That means this thigh might not be completely parallel to that wall, because when I do that, I throw this forward. So if your thigh is at an angle, that's fine. Keep the hips squared. This is Vrikshasana. Yes, it's a balancing pose, and yes, for some of you, we'll get there. You want to work the standing leg first. So press the thigh back, lengthen the groin, the upper thigh moving from the front of the leg to the back of the leg, and lift from the outer knee to the outer hip. Really compact that hip. Really move that femur bone into the hip socket. That bone also moves from the outside of the leg towards the inside. So instead of leaning out and having that femur bone push the outer thigh, you want that femur bone to get closer to the inner thigh. And once you have that on the standing leg, then you can begin to do some of that work on the bent leg. So also a lengthening of the groin, a releasing of the inner thigh, and that drawing of the outer knee to the outer hip. And when I do compact that hip and release the inner thigh, it gets closer, that opening happens, so this thigh gets closer to being parallel to the wall. But the goal isn't parallel to the wall. The goal is opening and opening the outer hip, but also strengthening the outer hip. And then, of course, the container for the breath that we were speaking about. Observe this container you created. And release. When you release, don't just give up on the standing leg. Keep the standing leg nice and strong. Even working this one, lift it up, take it forward, take it down. And then you can either walk to the other side of the chair. If you have a light chair, move it to your other side. If you have a heavy chair, walk around. Works both ways. So from Tadasana, hands on hips. Get to Tadasana first, so that you don't have to do all the adjustments once you take your leg up, but it's there. Thigh back, lengthen the groin, outer knee to outer hip. Maintain that in that standing leg, and then take the bent leg over. You do want it, relatively with the center of your standing leg, the bent leg, the foot relatively to the center of your standing leg, because that's, where it would go. Focus on the hips being squared versus that thigh being parallel to the wall. Work on that standing leg, thigh back, lengthening the inner thigh, the flesh of the inner thigh moving back, outer knee to outer hip. And again, that femur bone, not pushing against the outer leg, but seeking the inner leg. And then maintaining that, working on the bent leg, now lengthening that whole inner groin, right, from the lower abdomen to the knee, the flesh of the inner thigh descending and drawing from the outer knee to the outer hip, compact that hip together. Don't give up on the standing leg when you do that. And study. Now keep the standing leg working. Lift up the bent leg, take it forward, take it down, Tadasana. Now you may want to stay with the chair, okay? That's fine. You can keep the chair. Everyone use the chair for a minute, and you might want to keep your leg on the chair. So from Tadasana, both thighs back, lengthen the groins, outer knees to outer hips, compact the hips together. Hands are still on hips. Maintain the work on the left leg as you lift the right leg up, take it out to the side, place it on the chair. And normally we lose something in that standing leg, so get it back. Thigh back, lengthen the groin, outer knee to outer hip, compact the hips together. Lengthen the inner thigh, the bent leg, descend the inner thigh, outer knee to outer hip. And then come up onto lift the heel of the bent leg. Lift the heel of the bent leg. Reestablish the standing leg if you lost that. And now you can play. You can lift the leg, take hold of your ankle, put it up. Or leave it on the chair. Your practice. You can also take your back to a wall. That's fine if you want to be against the wall so you get the form. Now again, don't just focus on getting the bent leg parallel to the wall. Work on the standing leg first. I don't care where that knee is in space, the bent leg. But I do care that the standing leg, the thigh is back, you're lengthening the groin, the flesh of the groin is going back, and you're drawing the outer knee to the outer hip, compact the hip. So that the outer left hip is moving towards your right heel. And then if you have that, maintain that, then go after the bent leg, lengthen the groin, descend the groin, draw the outer knee to the outer hip. If you fall, celebrate. I hope there's lots of celebration going on. I see a few of you falling. I hope there's celebration there. And release. Put your foot on the chair, and then take it forward and down. Tadasana. Check the difference in the two sides. Feels so different now. That's a part of the study. Let's try and even them out. Take the foot out. Take the chair on the other side. Tadasana. Get those legs. Thighs back, lengthen the groins, outer knees to outer hips, compact the hips. Keep that standing leg. So keep the right leg firm. Lift up. Take that foot over to the chair. And notice my body turned too. Yeah, my hips turned. So I'm going to seek a squaring of the hips. Thigh back, right thigh back. Lengthen the groin, outer knee to outer hips. My bent leg is still at an angle here. It's okay. Lengthen the groin, extend the groin, outer knee to outer hip. Come up onto the balls of the toes. Maybe that's as far as you go. As soon as I got up into the balls of the toes, my femur bone pushed towards the outer leg. So I have to draw from the outer knee to the outer hip, compact the hip, and move that femur bone back towards the inner leg while continuing the lengthening of the inner groin. And then I'll lift my leg up, take hold of the ankle, place that heel as high as you can on your thigh, not on your knee. You can be on your calf. If you want to have your foot on your calf, that's fine, but don't have it on your knee. You need a wall, take a wall. Thigh back, standing leg, thigh back, lengthen the groin, outer knee to outer hip, the femur bone moving towards the heel, the bent leg heel. Maintain that and then lengthen the inner thigh. Descend the flesh of the inner thigh and draw the outer knee to the outer hip. And then go after both legs, both outer knees to outer hips, even though they're doing different things. Don't worry about taking that bent leg knee back. Keep those hips squared. Because if you take it back, you're just going to end up twisting your torso, turning your torso to do it. Study. And release the leg to the chair. And come down. Tadasana. Or what's it like to be grounded again? Going from balancing to perhaps some sense of sturdiness, although, sometimes Tadasana is a balancing pose too. All right, let's move the chair for a moment. Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. Take your fingertips up by your chest, bend your legs, and jump or step your feet wide. Take the wide stance so your feet are underneath your hands as your arms are extended. Drop the shoulders. Now, even here, I notice in myself, 20 years of practice, maybe 21, I don't know, I lose the math sometimes. But my front bottom ribs still tend to push out. So take those front bottom ribs towards the back body. Don't turn this into a back bend. Front bottom ribs back, top of the buttocks down, back bottom ribs in and up. And of course, we have to get the legs balanced evenly on your feet, outer knees to outer hips. Compact those hips together. Lengthen the groins, release the groins. Turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. Take your front heel in line with your back arch. Press the outer rim of the back heel. Turn the front thigh from the inside out, so your knee is directly in line with the top of the foot. And on both legs, draw those outer knees to outer hips and compact the hips together. Keep pressing the back heel and reach back with that left arm. Press the back heel, reach with the back arm, and then come down. Keep pressing the back heel, turn that front thigh out, lift the outer knees to the outer hips, compact those hips together. Torso rotates up. Head can either look forward or past your hand, past the raised hand. Pressing the back heel, reach with your arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Over to the other side, right foot and left leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. Press the back heel. Turn that front thigh so that your knee is in line with the top of your foot. Lift the outer knees to the outer hips, both of them. Now keep pressing with the back heel. Keep reaching with the back arm. Inhale and exhale, come down. Pressing the back heel, turn the front thigh, lift the outer knees to the outer hips. Rotating the torso. You can either look straight ahead or up past your hand. And pressing the back heel, reach with the arm up and out, parallel your feet. Jump or step your feet together. One more time, fingertips up, bend your legs, jump or step. Turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. Now, take your hands on your hips for a moment. What often happens in this pose is people turn it, they throw their back hip forward and they take the shoulders back and it almost turns into a back bend. So I want you to take that thigh back, the back thigh back, and the torso comes more forward and from the hip press into the heel. And try not to turn into a back bend. There is a lengthening of the front body, but there's also a lengthening of the back body. So from the pubic bone, there's a lengthening to the chest, but from the tailbone, there's a lengthening to the top of the back. And can you begin to imagine you're in between two panes of glass here? The front thigh does turn out, lift the outer knee to the outer hip. Now extend the arms, and instead of trying to lean back just to get an open chest, can you imagine you're in two panes of glass and you're simply sliding down? That the front body and the back body have to lengthen. And then when you come down, take your left hand onto your hip. Yeah, the elbow just broke the glass, so that's okay. Press the back heel so that back thigh comes back, press into the heel. The front thigh turns out, lift your outer knees to outer hips. And equally lengthen from the pubic bone to the chest and from the tailbone to the top of the back. So not just one or the other, not just that front body turning it into a back bend, but can you lengthen the back body as well? There is a rotation of the torso. So the top ribs move back, the bottom ribs move forward, or what's top right now. So the left ribs move back, right ribs move forward. And then extend the arm up, either look forward or look up. Still, as you press the back heel, extending both the front and back bodies. And then reach through your arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Take your hands on your hips, take a breath. Turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. So as soon as I do this, and I'm exaggerating a little bit so you might be able to see, but there's a tendency to throw that back hip forward. The torso goes back and it begins to turn. So I want you to take that back thigh back, so my torso is now parallel to the wall, from the hip press into the heel and get that groundedness. Right? Standing pose is very grounding. At the same time, don't let the back thigh come forward as you turn the front thigh out. So turn that front thigh out, but keep that back thigh back. Can you begin? At the beginning, we need to do them one at a time. The back thigh back, turn the front thigh out, that's fine. But over time, those of you who've been practicing for a long time, can you begin to unite those actions that the back thigh goes back and the front thigh turns out at the same time? And draw both outer knees to outer hips. And now imagine those two panes of glass. With the front body and back body, extend the arms and stay inside of those two planes of glass, coming down. I have to do this so much more slowly when I really pay attention. Otherwise, for me, my torso begins to lean back. Now take your right hand onto your hip. The elbow can break the glass, that's okay, but the torso is still in it. Reestablish the legs. Take the back thigh back, press into the heel, turn the front thigh out, lift both outer knees to outer hips. And then that extension, front and back body. So from the pubic bone to the sternum, but from the tailbone up to the top of the back. So you're lengthening both the front and back bodies at the same time. And rotating the torso and extending your arm up. Observing your pose. Self-study, svadhyaya, with curiosity, not with control. Obviously, there's some control. We're taking these actions, but then become curious. Be more curious than controlling. And then reach yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Jump or step your feet together. All right, now we're going to continue with the balancings. We'll take a block to start and see how things go. I'm going to show you, there's a piece of paper here. I'm going to show you how to do it on a chair in a moment, but let's check in how things are going with a block. So you can take a block towards one side of your mat. You can have one on the other side too. Now, especially with video and everything, it makes it a little harder because there's a tendency to look at the screen. With balancing poses, you want to pick a spot and just stare at that spot. And that begins to create a focus of the mind. That's why balancing poses are helpful, because they demand a focused mind. And many of us, our minds are all over the place. And you know, what's normal and what's the future going to be like, and all of this that's going on right now. And when we get racial justice and racial equality, and how does that all affect our lives, and what are we supposed to be doing now? So we need to create a focus of the mind so that our actions in the world can have proper effect, proper power. Helping balance the body helps focus the mind because it demands a focused mind. So even though you're listening to me and perhaps looking at me, see if you can pick a spot in your room, wherever you are, and stare at that. Fingertips up, bend your knees, jump or step your feet apart. Turn your left foot and turn your right leg out. Now we're going to start off, we're doing Ardha Chandrasana half moon pose, but we're going to start off in Utthita Trikonasana triangle pose, which we just did. So this back thigh goes back, top thigh turns out, lift the outer knees to the outer hips. Inhale, on your exhale, take the hand down, right? You're still between those two panes of glass. And then take your left hand on your hip. Now, take hold of your block, bend your front leg, walk your back foot in. So you really have your balance. And take this block about 1 foot to 18 inches in front of your pinky toe. And use that block for support. Now turn that front thigh out, lift the outer knee to the outer hip, and begin to straighten it as you lift that back leg. And for me, as I said at the beginning of class, I'm not feeling very grounded. I'm feeling quite wobbly and floaty today. And this is reflecting in my balancing poses. This is a pose I can do. But today, it just seems a little disconnected. So I'm going to practice it. I don't avoid it. I'm going to practice it to see if I can get my mind centered again. What is it for you? Lift the front outer knee to the outer hip. Lift the back leg, top leg hip stacked on the bottom hip. Now coming up, bend the front leg, take a big step back. If you don't get the big step back, take a double step, take the block with you, and come into triangle pose. And then pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Take the block to the other side. It's hard for me to see everybody here on the screen. Are the words making sense? If anyone's having problems, if anything's not making sense, please let me know. All right, other side then. Left foot, right foot and left leg out. Front heel in line with back arch. Again, we start with Utthita Trikonasana. So the back thigh goes back, press the heel. Turn the front thigh out, lift the outer knees to the outer hips. Inhale, exhale, come down, Utthita Trikonasana. You're between those two panes of glass. And then bend the front leg, take hold of the block. Block goes next to your foot for now. Oh, take your top hand down. And then walk that back foot in. And then take that block a good foot to 18 inches in front of you so that you get length on the side of your body. And then turn, before you just come up, turn that front thigh out, lift the outer knee to the outer hip, and then begin to straighten the leg and lift your back leg. Oh, and I forgot, this is my more wobbly side. All the wobbles are coming in. Can you accept them? Can you be with them? Can you get that focus point? See if you can focus the mind to create steadiness in the body. Create steadiness in the body to focus the mind. It goes both ways. And accept the pleasant and unpleasant. Accept the wobbliness that may be here. If you fall, celebrate. And then bend the front leg, take a big step back or a double step. Take the block with you, triangle pose. And then pull yourself up and up. Parallel your feet. Jump or step your feet together. So sometimes we do just need a little bit more support with this. So I want to show you how to do this with the chair. Many of you, I know, have done it before. So you have the back of the chair facing forward. You take your right foot about a foot away from the chair. If you're too close, then you can't get length on the side of the body. So you have to be far enough away. You take your forearm on the chair, fingers drape off the side of the chair, and you have enough space between the foot of the chair so that your hip and your armpit have space between them. Leg is bent. My back leg, toes are still just touching. The top hand here holds onto the back of the chair for support. Now, same thing, turn the front thigh out, lift that front outer knee to the outer hip as you lift your back leg. You can use that top hand to help rotate the torso. Standing leg, turn the thigh out, lift the outer knee to the outer hip, compact the hip together. The top leg, a little bit more accessible to stack that top hip over the bottom hip. Lengthen both groins, draw both outer knees to outer hips, compact the hips together. But see that now you're still extending from the pubic bone to the chest, but equally from the tailbone to the top of the back. And still pick that point to gaze at. And maybe you get to be here a little bit longer to experience the form. And then coming up, bend the front leg. You can just turn your torso towards the floor and then take your left foot next to your right foot and come up into Tadasana. Check in. And then take that chair over to the other side of your mat, or you can walk around your chair, depending how you're set up there. Have your foot far enough away from the chair so that when you come down, you maintain that that length on the side of your body. So the forearm goes over the chair. The fingers don't grip the back of the chair. They just drape over. And the top hand on the back bar of the chair. With still support with your back leg on the floor. Turn the front thigh out. And then you begin lifting the outer knee to the outer hip. And that back leg just begins to come up. And then you rotate the torso. Stack the right hip on top of the left hip. Keep the front thigh turned out. Lift the outer knee to the outer hip. Make sure you are between those two panes of glass, so the front and back body lengthening. Lift the back leg up, lengthen the going to the back leg, also outer knee to outer hip. So now your legs are in different directions, but can they do the same things? Rotate the torso, lengthen the front and back bodies from the pubic bone to the chest, from the tailbone to the back. Find that gazing point for you. And observe, study. And coming up, bend the front leg, turn your torso, take your feet next to each other, Tadasana. So now we're going to do it one more time, and it's your choice what to do. Do the chair, do the block. You can also do the floor if you don't need a block. I don't want you to do what your ego wants. I want you to do what your body needs. You know, it's a unique time with everyone being forced to practice at home because it gives you an opportunity to hone your home practice, which is what these yoga classes are about. The purpose of yoga class is to give you enough tools and information so that you can practice on your own. That's really what this is about. So now, can you make the decision, what do I need to do for my body? I'm going to use the block because even though I am much more wobbly today on it, my body's calling me, be okay with the wobble. This is what my brain is really I'm studying my brain. And it's saying, be okay with the wobble. That's all it's saying, be okay with the wobble. So it's saying, don't sink the stability. Don't force yourself into stability. That's what my brain is saying. But now what is yours saying? Okay, so chair, you've done both, chair or block. You can do it. If you're using the chair, have it there, have it ready. I'm going to use the block, fingertips up, then your legs jump or step your feet wide. If you're using the block, take the sturdiness you had from the chair and bring that into this pose. Left foot in, right leg out. By the way, your back to a wall also works. Turn the front thigh out, press the back heel, lift the outer knees to the outer hips. You're in between two panes of glass. Inhale, exhale, come down. And take your hand on your shin or the block. Then, but take hold of that block as we go in. Then left hand on your hip, bend the front leg, back leg in, or if your hand is on the chair, begin to straighten that front leg. Take the block forward if you're using the block, and now begin to straighten that front leg. Turn the thigh out as you straighten it. Get your focus point, drishti it's called, that gazing point. Embrace the wobbles if it's there. Embrace the sturdiness if it's there too. And study. What is your mind telling you? And what are you telling your mind? And not just that thinking mind that's running all over, that's judging everything, but the mind from your heart and from your solar plexus, your intuition. What is that mind telling you? Coming up, bend the front leg. Take a big step back or double step. Take the block with you with Titi Trikonasana triangle pose. Now feeling grounded after the balancing. And pull yourself up and up. Parallel your feet. Take that block to the other side. Right foot in, left leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. Press the back heel, turn that front thigh, lift both outer knees to outer hips, still between those two panes of glass. Inhale, exhale, come down. And then right hand on your hip. Use that block, bend the front leg, walk the back foot in, take that block forward. 12 to 18 inches. Turn the front thigh out. Then begin that straightening. Lift the outer knee to the outer hip of the standing leg. The back leg rises. Can you take the sturdiness of the chair, when we did it that way, and bring it here? And if there's wobbliness, can you embrace it? Today's pose is different than yesterday's. It's different than tomorrow's. What is today bringing you? To the physical body, to the emotional body, to the breath. Lengthen the front and back bodies. Bending the front leg. Big step back or a double step. Take the block with you. Teach a Trikonasana. Feeling grounded. Allowing the earth to support you, coming out of the balancing. And then pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Jump or step your feet together. Tadasana. Check in with yourself. Balance evenly on your feet, thighs back, lifting up through the side ribs. Extend through the arms. And release. Take hold of your chair again. Let's do some chair twists. You can put the block to the side. Have the back of your chair facing forward, facing me. And sit on the chair so your right side faces the back of the chair. So you're facing sideways on the chair. Square your hips, square your knees, heels underneath the knees. Now, even in twists, there's a lot of focus on the torso, the upper body. But again, what you do with the lower body really affects it. And when I just sit down, I feel my torso just fall onto my hips and I want to sink and collapse. So I'm going to lengthen the groins, right? Knee to the lower abdomen. Descend the flesh of the inner thighs and draw the outer knees to the outer hips and compact the hips together. So as soon as I do that, well, now I can't even collapse my torso if I want to. It's lifted. Now, same things I do in other poses, I do in my twist. I'm throwing my front bottom ribs forward, which is shortening my back. So I'm going to take my front bottom ribs towards the back body, top of the buttocks down, back bottom ribs in and up, so that there's still a lengthening, that I'm not just open to the front body, I'm opening up the front and back bodies. And extend the arms forward, arms up. Don't lose the legs when you add the arms. So get length here, arms out to the side. Oh, I'm too close to the wall. But extend your arms out to the side, get the width. If you're too close to the wall, then do the best you can. Inhale, on your exhalation, rotate, take a hold, rotate the torso. I didn't rotate my head, I'm still looking just where I was. But from my pubic bone, I'm rotating the torso. Elbows up, shoulders down. So elbows go up and out to the sides, shoulders are down. There's a lengthening from the pubic bone to the chest, and equal lengthening from the tailbone to the top of the back. So you're not turning this into a back bend. Use your breath. On the inhalation, allow yourself to lift, get taller and wider. On your exhalation, turn. Don't force the breath. When the breath inhales, lift. When the breath exhales, turn with it. When the breath inhales, pace of your breath, not mine, lift. When the breath exhales, turn. Elbows up, shoulders down. Maintain the lift, maintain the width. Inhale, maintain the width, maintain the lift. Exhale, come to center. And stand up, just go to the other side of the chair. Or you can just turn on the chair. You don't even have to stand up to have the slidey chairs. So square your hips, knees, heels. And again, if I don't work the legs, I fall down into my pelvis. Lengthen the groins, descend the flesh of the inner thighs, draw the outer knees to the outer hips, and compact the hips together. Now I have a base through which my spine can lift off of. The lift is more important than the turn. You want to make sure that the spine is lifted, so that there's space between the vertebrae. Extend the arms forward, arms up. Keep those hips nice and compacted. Keep the legs working. The groins lengthening and descending. So lengthen here on your exhalation. Maintain the length. Get the width. Arms out to the sides. Maintain the legs. Lengthen into the groins. Outer knees to outer hips. Compact the hips. Then inhale, lengthen. Exhale, turn the torso. I didn't turn my head. My head's looking just where it was. Elbows up. Shoulders down. Compact the hips, release the groins. Inhale on your inhalation. Allow yourself to lengthen. When the breath exhales, turn. When the breath inhales, lengthen. When the breath exhales, turn. Your breath. When the breath inhales, lengthen. When the breath exhales, turn. And study. There's still a lengthening both the front and back bodies. So from the pubic bone to the chest, or from the tailbone to the top of the back. If you're grimacing, you're working too hard. Soft lips. Maintain the lift and width. Inhale. Maintain the lift and width. Exhale. Come to center. Take a breath here. All right, downward facing dog. Let's put the chair to, if you can use the chair. If you want to use the chair, use the chair. Otherwise, hands and knees. Carolyn, I hope you're using a chair. Press through the ball of the first finger and thumb, rotate the upper arms out. Push into the floor, lengthen through those inner arms. Remember that groin in the inner arm? We haven't spoken about that lately, but at the beginning of class, we mentioned that groin in the inner arm. Lengthen that here. Turn your toes under, straighten your legs. Lengthen the groins of the legs and the arms. Compact the outer knees to the outer, or draw the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact the hips. Draw the outer elbows to the shoulders. Inhale on your exhalation, downward facing dog. Lengthen the arms, lengthen the legs. Press the thigh bones back. Lengthen the groins of the legs, lengthen the groins of the arms. Draw the outer knees to the outer hips. As the hips go up, the outer heels go down. Observe your pose. Everything we've done today, coming here now. And coming out. Bend your legs, let your knees touch at precisely the same moment. If you're on the chair, walk forward into Tadasana. Everyone else coming onto the floor, and then feet together, knees apart. Rest your head either on the floor or you take a lift. Take that block. Rest your forehead on the block. And extend the arms forward. So either in Tadasana or child's pose, face soft. And then if you're in child's pose, hands underneath your shoulders, push to come up. And then everybody setting yourself up for Shavasana. So take a blanket or a towel, either this size here, the flat size, or you can fold that in half. Lying back with your legs bent and your feet on the floor. Having that blanket coming up just to touch the edge of the shoulders, supporting the seventh cervical. And with your legs bent, let's just bend the legs into the chest for a moment. Give yourself a little hug here. Say something kind to yourself. Some of you have just come back and you're back to yoga after missing a couple weeks. Welcome back from me, but can you welcome yourself back? Can you say something kind to yourself here and honor yourself for showing up here, the goodness inside of you? Patanjali tells us that the purpose of yoga is to still the fluctuations of the mind so that you can bathe in your own true splendor. Can you give yourself the opportunity to bathe in your own true splendor? On your inhalation, take your feet to the floor, take your hands to the top of the buttocks, scoop the flesh towards the heels. Straighten your legs one at a time. Let the legs go. Find a comfortable place for your arms. And let go here. So we worked today with some of the balancings. Where there is minimal support from the earth to your body. But now you are fully supported. You're fully supported here. The entire body is supported. Can you surrender to that support? Can you accept that support? And can you surrender to that support? Let your body surrender to the Mother Earth below you. Let your body surrender to the Mother Earth below you. The legs, the arms, the torso, the skull. Often we feel like we need to control everything. We don't seek help, we don't seek support. Can you give yourself permission to allow the Mother Earth to fully embrace you and support you? You don't need to go anywhere, you're here. The Mother Earth is ready to hold you and support you. You don't need to ask, you just need to allow. Let go everything, hold nothing. Let go. Surrender. Shavasana. Deepen the inhalation. Lengthen the exhalation. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your nose. Bend your legs, place your feet on the floor, knees together, feet apart. Take your hands onto your abdomen or onto your chest. Let the healing energy of your hands penetrate your body, pierce through your layers and heal. Whatever it is you may need healing with today. When you feel ready, extend your right arm past your right ear, roll to the right side. When you feel ready, place your left hand on the floor in front of your heart, push to come up. Come up chest first, head last. Come up to sitting. Bring your palms together, thumbs at your chest. If you're sitting cross-legged, turn across the legs the opposite way you did from the beginning of class. Draw your eyes back and down as you gently turn the corners of your lips up. Taking a moment to observe your practice. What's different? What's changed? And let's close our practice together by chanting one collective Om. Deep inhalation. Gently let your eyes open. Big smile. Namaste. Bow to the divine within you.